Howdy guys, how's it going? So we are coming out, it's not even really that late in the day, but we are getting into that time of the year where it is going to start getting darker a lot quicker. And then today is also a good bit overcast, so I want to try to get to this spot so that we can get some things recorded before it got dark. So hiked out today with the Nixie Works Light Fighter rig. The stuff in this kit and the very few items that I have in my smock is all that we have for our overnighter tonight. It should actually end up being a pretty cool one. Last night, the lowest that it hit was 33 degrees, and tonight the projected low was about 39, but last night the projected low was 42 and it ended up hitting 33. So we'll see what happens. So now if you took and seen the scout kit video that I put up not too long ago with this light fighter rig, you will have seen the Jerven bag, which is a really cool new piece of gear that was sent to me by betterbushcraft.com. So you guys should definitely go check them out. And then right now in the United States, that's pretty much the only place that you can get one of these Jerven bags for yourself, because I'm really excited to start playing around with it. There's a lot of different configurations and things you can do with it. Tonight, I think we're going to be going with just trying to use it as a survival bag, and we'll get more into that later. Right now, let's take and get this off. I realized, like, walking halfway through that my adjustment straps had got knocked off a wee bit at some point, just for me moving this thing in and around the gear shed while taking gear in and out of it. So it was still pretty comfortable, except for this top part was starting to dig into the back of my neck because the straps had got just off kilter. When I took a couple pictures, I noticed these back straps was actually a little bit lax, and I think that's playing into it. So far, still really liking this rig. You can actually, fit a good bit of gear in it. We do have our full Z-fold ISO mat, which was not part of the scout kit. We don't have the optics and stuff like that in here. This is just purely for an overnighter, but a lot of the stuff that was in the scout kit is still in here. Pretty much everything but the optics. Got a different stove, things like that, but essentially, in its pure concept, everything is pretty much the same. Now, hiking in, when I left, it was 64 degrees, and at my base, I just have on a sun shirt for a moisture wicking layer, and then this is the Arctis mountain smock, and then I have the large pit zips open, and just ever so slightly bit sweaty, but overall very comfortable. Again, with the smock, I really didn't load up the pockets. These bottom pockets are mostly empty. I just have a set of gloves, like warm gloves, on this left side, and then I got a headlamp. I got my Zoleo, I think I put it in here. Yeah, I got my Zoleo satellite communicator there, and that's pretty much it. I might take and place some things in here as I go about my business, but I mainly wanted this because it's been really windy, and that's why I chose to come to this small pine forest here, because like right now it's pretty common here, still a bit breezy around, but we've just been having these periods of really high gusty winds. And in here, we're pretty much safe from anything major falling on us and crushing us as far as Widowmakers go. So we ain't going to completely unload this kit right now. Again, I highly recommend you go and watch the scouting kit loadout video, but we'll undo our buckles. Most of what's in here are just insulation, food, stuff like that. So here at the top, underneath our top flap here where it buckles, the thing that was living on the inside of this pack in the scout kit video, this is the JJ's, I don't think it says it on here, but the JJ Rapture jacket. So that's going to be our main form of insulation that we will wear underneath our smock, and it's actually kind of nice having it underneath that lid because pretty much everything that's inside this pack, aside from wipes, there's nothing that we would need to get to in a hurry, so that if we was just out and we decided to stop for a bit for a rest, to rehydrate, whatever, then we could just easily take this out and throw it on underneath our smock. So that is our insulated jacket. And then going up underneath here, the thing that is already positioned at the top is our Jerven bag, and this covers a lot of bases. This thing is our rainwear, it is our shelter, and you can do different configurations with it. It can be a ground cloth. People have use these as a hammock. In the front, we got that orange signal panel, so it covers a bit of signaling. A really solid piece of gear. And I think, I've not tested this out, but I believe this would actually fit perfectly in the butt pocket, or the poacher's pocket on the back of this smock, which is something we might have to play around with in the near future. So we got that, and then I'm not going to take it out right now because it'll drag out all these smaller things like our stove and stuff. But I've got the Helicon-Tex Swagman roll at the very bottom. We got 2 forms of insulation in case we dip down around that freezing temp range. We got our food stove, all that good old stuff. Okay, so now with the old, I'm going to call it the Jerven bag so we don't have to keep saying both names, so we're just going to go with Jerven, but it might be Jerven. So we got that out. Now it does have 2 sleeves in here that you can put on because there's 2 armholes, so that if you're wearing this as a poncho, your arms don't get wet. You can still carry a rifle, use gear. You know, it's a lot less cumbersome than dealing with a poncho and the way that it goes up and over your arms and stuff. Because this is something that's used by the Norwegian military. I think it's been used now for like 40 some years. We can go more into the history of it when we do a little bit more of a survival type video. But this is I would consider this a fairly minimal gear, minimal kit video, or at the very least just a small pack size, because just that rig right there, one of the biggest things is just that ISO mat that we have to sit/lean on. Yeah, the sleeves and the signal panel is all that's left in there. And so right there is the form factor of this thing. Whenever you have it out like this, it's more square, but this thing just fully unzips out into a rectangular shape. And we have this in the woodland camouflage. They have like their own mountain version, and it's really good for like rocks and mossy areas, like over in the countries and stuff where they're from. But this one, truthfully, is a really good fit. This would look even better if we was actually in more of hardwood forest areas. But I'm actually kind of surprised already at just kind of how good it looks backdrop wise with being in this pine forest here. So. Now when you first get this, it can take you a second to orient yourself, because it's not your normal, you know, standard poncho size length. It's like whenever you want to fold it over, you can't zip this thing up into a sleeping bag size, because it kind of comes up whenever you fold it over that way to like right at, if not slightly less than, my shoulder width. And then right here is the armholes that you can unzip, and we'll unzip those once we get inside. But the way that I've found easiest to keep track of it is right there where that like lot number, serial number is. That right there is the section that is actually your head, and this right here will be your face. So you unzip that. Take the sunglasses off. Throw that over yourself. And then unzip the arm areas. Okay, and then we're essentially in this thing. In this configuration, we pretty much have it as the poncho. It helps to zip this thing up so it don't fall back. And standing up, you can see. So I'm 5'10", 150 pounds even, and then whenever I'm standing straight up, the tip of this pretty much just misses touching the ground, so it comes right to the heel of my boot. This thing being waterproof, it's obviously windproof. It's got that aluminum thermal reflective material on the inside to reflect body heat, and that's really going to be the key factor that we're going to be testing out tonight. That's why we're not doing anything shelter setup wise. I want to see how this thing acts as a survival bag, essentially. I mean, this is the standard way you would wear it, but based off reviews and stuff, this thing's really good to set. And you know, if you're hunting or something, especially if you're in an area that's not well protected from wind, you can get in this and you can just chill out whenever you need to bring your hands out if you're glassing for stuff. And then this thing doesn't restrict your movement at all, so it's like if you needed to shoot from this thing, that would be easy as well. And then since you have all of this excess material, you have something to sit on if the ground's wet. And again, this is kind of going to be the position that we'll be in later. I got some stuff that I'm going to do with that ISO mat to make things comfortable. But yeah, if it was raining, storming, winds blowing, you could just get in this thing, zip up right up to your mouth, adjust your head area, because the zippers here, like they're, you know, rainproof. Close up your armholes, and then you can just chill out. You got a little microclimate going on in here. And like bringing my hands in, I don't feel it that much because I am wearing the smock, but bringing my hands in, there is a temperature difference from the outside already, just a short amount of time that I've been wearing this. And then, you know, you can close up the armholes here so that if you need ventilation or to, you know, try to help mitigate condensation, you can do that. I just want to kind of go into detail of that right now because the rest of the video is going to be fairly simple. We got some food we're going to cook. We got our stove. When I say cook, we've got a freeze-dried meal because that's all that you could really fit in a kit like this comfortably. And if you was using this as a scouting kit, that's all you would really, you know, want to have for a backup in the event you had to stay overnight. But I like it. The other thing too is normally whenever you wear this, if you was using this as a poncho and walking around with it, you would want to get my arms back out here. You would want to take and probably have a belt around to kind of bring up that material. This area here in the back is so large and meant to be that way so that you can have an extremely large backpack on under this and it'll still cover it. And the hood actually wears, like if you're sitting still, the hood, like using this corner as a hood is fine, but when you start walking without a pack or something on, it wants to pull back. But even having that belt kit on underneath or on the outside to actually use it as a belt or underneath just to kind of help take that space up makes a big difference when trying to move around. And yeah, like just taking a move, like I'm honestly starting to get about just as moist as I was hiking in, just moving around and wearing this. So this thing clearly has, like, you know, no insulation. It's purely just about reflecting and then holding in the body heat that you do generate. I know there's different models of the Jerven bag. Like there's insulated models. I know the Hunter's one off the top of my head, and I don't remember the names of the other ones. Those are a little bit different in dimensions, and obviously they're insulated, but I believe that they still have the reflective material on the far side of the insulation. The cool deal. Our shelter is just that easy and simple. Then going ahead and looking at a few of the other things that we got in the main compartment here. We got our meal. Went with a ReadyWise Pro. This is the pasta alla vodka with chicken. This is one of my favorite of the Pro meals. Really, really solid. So now for my stove, we definitely went different than the one that was in the Scout kit, just due to size. I got my cubic alcohol stove. Not used this thing in a while, but if you've been around, you know that I use this thing pretty much every camp for quite a bit. And then I've got a flask with 91% isopropyl alcohol in it for the fuel. I've only got about a quarter of a flask here, so I'm hoping that's enough. If it doesn't get too windy, that should be enough to boil our water for our meal, but we'll see about that. Worst case, we can dig a hole, start a fire. I also brought out this homemade stove of mine, and also brought this out to use as like a hand warmer if we need it. But yeah, this is a homemade stove jig. Now it's got combat wipes, and finally in there, this is the Helicon Tex Swagman roll, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with. But I want to see just how long and comfortably we can go with just using the JJ's Rapture jacket. My legs are normally fine. I know my feet will be fine in these boots and socks that I got on. But yeah, that filled up this compartment very, very nicely. And like if you really wanted to cram stuff in there, you could fit even more. Like my spoon and other lights and knife and all the other little goodies are in the pouches along the side. I'm hoping to manage to get little to no sap on things if I can help it. That's why I got a tree over here that looks way less sappy than this one that we'll be using for this. So here on the bottom, that's a really nice feature of this particular system, is the fact you can easily strap stuff to the bottom. Got a Z-fold closed cell foam pad with a reflective side. The reflective side does make a bit of a difference. I've got a couple different ideas of how I plan to potentially go about doing this overnighter, because there are ways that you can get in that and sleep in it, especially if you're comfortable sleeping in the fetal position, which I am. But I'm thinking about trying out more of a leaning method here. So we will be putting our Z-fold mat out. and pretty much would just be leaning against the tree. Now this tree is actually kind of growing up and out that way, so not an ideal tree. Alright, so there is tons of pine deadfall in here, so I think what we're going to do is attempt a bit of lazy bushcrafting in the sake of time to make something just a wee bit more comfortable to lean up against. Because again, like this tree, a straight tree can work. If it wasn't for all the stuff behind this and all these other ones, most trees in here just grow too close together. And this spot right here is actually kind of dipped perfectly level, but this tree is just kind of going at a bit of an angle this way, and you can't really sleep forward like that. So we'll try to make a bit of a rest to lean against. And this GP pouch right here, got a bit of a cordage kit. This is the same one. And I think, I can't remember which one's shorter. Probably this blue one, so we might go with that. I got jute twine in there. Jute twine is what I would typically use for this, but for making the main support, I'm hoping I can get away with this one singular length of cordage that came with this rope roller. And coming over here, I do have that saw with me, and then to try to prevent sap and such, we'll go with our gloves there. I'm pretty sure that I can break everything in here that I'm going to need, because I really don't need anything too complicated. It's more about just trying to pick some once we get to the leaning, the few that we'll need, that we'll be leaning against, find some that don't have just a ton of pokey things coming out of it. Just something like these through here. You know, we're not going to be putting a ton of weight on it, so it's not like it'll be supporting a lot. Okay, so for this piece, that'll work. And it looks like the size of this is about perfect. And I think I'm going to want this on the back side there. See, about right there is pretty good. I don't need the rope roller for this at all, but I want to just see out of curiosity if I can use it on this one end to make this work. I don't think it's going to cinch down properly, because this doesn't have to be that secure, that's the thing. Than I wanted it to go with it. Okay, that's what I was worried about. Probably should have went with the other piece of cordage. I don't think. God, that is just short. I don't think I can. Might be able to tie it here and then tension it with the rope roller if it wants to slide. Heck, you know, we honestly could have just run a thing of rope and leaned stuff up against it, but it would just be moving around a lot. Okay, we'll see what happens. I got 4 pieces of wood cut. We're going about this again too, kind of the idea of if you was kind of caught off guard needing to stay overnight. That's the purpose of testing out this gear and kind of this layout. So Want to do something that would be relatively quick to put up, just like this right here. It was really quick to find and cut these 4 pieces of wood. This one right here is one that was just on the ground that I broke with my foot. I think it's going to be strong enough. And then I was actually able, I thought I was going to have to take and do a good bit more sawing, but I was able to break off the bits that's sticking out pretty easily against the tree here. So we're just going to lean these up, and then we'll have our sit pad. And that way we don't have to have nearly as many sticks as if we was just going to be leaning up against this thing with, you know, just our back. We can actually afford to have some more gaps in it, and then if we need to, we can. I can actually wedge that right there, and that'll pinch it in there. So look at that. I completely meant for that rope to be where it's at. So boom, right there. We have a pretty decent looking wrist. So let's get our pad and see what it feels like. Oh wow. Okay, that's not bad at all. It's like leaning back in the seat of a car. God, that's going to be perfect. And I think that took all of even, you know, with just moving y'all around a few times, I think that took well under 10 minutes, probably somewhere between 5 and 8 minutes. And then, so we could be a bit more scientific about things, I brought out this little thermometer sensor that shows the temperature and the humidity. So we'll hang that up somewhere around us, and then we'll have a idea of what the temp actually gets down to, so we can better rate how the setup that we brought out with us performed. Yeah, now that the sun's been down for a little bit, it's starting to get a bit cool. Gotta zip up the old armpit zips. I looked at my app and it said that we are sitting right at 51 degrees Fahrenheit. So like right now, just with a smock, still comfortable. I like cooler temps. If anything, just kind of starting to feel a little bit of coolness on my fingers. Don't quite yet feel like getting the Raptor jacket out. But I did have a new light that I wanted to try out, potentially use it for filming purposes. For those of you that are into lights, thought that you would think this is cool. So this particular one is I believe it's pronounced Workos. But the first thing I'll show you that's kind of irrelevant is it does have a green laser pointer, which if anything, it's just kind of cool. If I ever need to point at anything, I guess I could use this, because where it's green you can see the distance. You got your normal flashlight, you actually got a UV light on here, so all that stuff doesn't really matter. The thing that does matter for filming right now that is super unique to this thing has, and this flashlight's made out of metal, but we got these fold out wings here, and I'm thinking that I can actually put this on my tripod and point this at me, and that'll give a bit of a softer glow lighting. So we're going to see how that works, and then we can also set it down and use it as a bit of a lantern. So again, oh, there we go, and that's brighter. We got low, just on and off, bright. So yeah, I think we just got low and bright with this, or if you hold it you can dim it. Okay, so what I ended up doing was taking and tying a piece of jute twine between these two trees, and then now I've got this light hung, and it actually makes a really good lantern. If I turn it on super bright, then it'll still be decent for filming, but as for just myself being able to see around while I'm moving about, I can easily get into that, and we'll move that over there later. It didn't rain any, we just had some water drip from up there somewhere, so there was something holding on to it. But we got that, so let's go ahead and get our stove out, get our meal out, and then we just have the canteen cup with the U.S. military canteen. Probably a good idea to bring the titanium canteen cup because it would boil a bit faster, but that one should do just fine. So yeah, I took and cleared this spot right here in front of my pad, but it's not completely level. And for this alcohol stove, everything has to be perfectly level. Oh, you know what? I'd already forgot that this one had the fold-out feet. I knew it had the top on it here, the fold-out wings. Just get that to go down in the ground and make it level. But we did get lucky in that it's not windy at the moment, so we got that going for us. So we're going to fill that most of the way. That's practically all that we got with us. Just don't really want to fill up them ports because it might take just a second for the alcohol to actually vaporize. But I'm thinking since we filled it so full, we might be okay. Okay, so I'll let that burn for a minute so that it can start vaporizing. That's why we got that nice burn that we got going now. But we got to hurry because this will burn down fast. Then yeah, while that water gets going, I'm going to go ahead and put on the Raptor jacket because the temp is dropping pretty quickly. This bad boy locked it up a bit. We are good to go. Oh, I forgot this thing had the fleece line pockets. We will be putting the smock back on though, especially if we run into any chance of the wind. That's got a little bit of heat held up in there. Anyways, get out of there, spider. Okay, so we got a nice rolling bolt going. Set that down. So we can even make some tea or coffee if we want to. That one even comes with a little snuffer. Tear that open. And I had the forethought to even bring out my spice kit this time. So I got black pepper and Old Bay with me if I want it. Yeah, that is. And then yeah, we'll give this about 12 to 14 minutes. Ooh, that bag is hot, but it makes a good hand warmer. I took and brought one of my spice kits with me. I've already took and had this particular meal probably, this will be the 5th time I think. So I know for a fact I want some black pepper, and we'll see how that tastes in there. And then if we want to, we can always go back and add some Old Bay. Definitely doesn't need any salt. These freeze-dried meals and most of these backpacker style meals or MREs are always loaded with sodium. And I did remember to bring a eating utensil. A little bit left of that. We got some water left in our canteen cup, some peppermint tea, so we might save that for a little bit later. I've not got to do a ton of testing with this Raptor jacket yet, just because it hasn't been that cold. But god dang, this thing is warm. Because I looked at the thermometer and we're sitting at 44.6 degrees. And yeah, so far I'm very, very comfortable. Be even better once we get some food in us. Helicopter or something going overhead. Let's get us a bite of this. And that right there is just as good as the last time I had it, except it's even better with that black pepper in there. Yeah. I mean, this really is a fantastic freeze-dried meal. I'm going to finish this and get back with y'all whenever it's time to touch on something else. Alrighty, so it is just now about 10 o'clock. And we are sitting at a comfortable 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Thought it'd be a good time to go ahead and crawl inside the old Jerven bag. I'll be honest, I mean, I didn't even need to put my smock on. I just want to go ahead and throw it on. We might be better off actually not wearing the smock in case certain parts of it, like it is very roomy, but just to reduce the areas that could potentially be compressed on a Raptor jacket by the smock, like in the shoulders and stuff. But actually what I'm going to do though is I'm going to unzip, I know you can't see what I'm doing, I'm going to unzip my smock. That way I still have access to the hand pockets on the Raptor jacket. I do have a pair of lightly insulated Rogue gloves that are in my smock. My legs are still completely fine, but I wanted to zip this up and just kind of see how this feels inside of here in a bit. I know this is probably really goofy looking, but this bag definitely serves its purpose, because at the moment I'm not the least bit cold. We might end up not having to break out the Swagman roll. We'll just kind of have to see how that plays out. But yeah, as of right now, guys, I'm just going to chill out, mess around on my phone a bit, and then see if I can, lean back and catch some Z's. Because with the hood of this, the way that it would work is we could leave this a little bit open, but still have overhang. And I'm sitting on a ton of material, which we don't have to. It's very unnecessary since we have the insulated pad. But you just don't want to completely seal this thing up if you can help it, because otherwise the condensation would build up pretty dang fast. Because other than opening up any of the armholes, this thing is not breathable at all. Anyways, I will check back in with y'all whenever I either wake up or something interesting happens. Good morning, guys. Or at least partial good morning. So it is just a bit past 3:30 in the morning. God dang, my eyes are red. The allergies. So yeah, it's 3:30. I just looked at that app. I don't know what's causing that shadow. Okay, I guess it was my pocket. I just looked at that app, and it's currently about 38.5 degrees Fahrenheit. I'd say that's pretty correct. I'll be completely honest with you. Like my upper body, I'm fine. Whenever I come in here, I did have my head outside, but I just took and closed fully up for a sec. There is a little bit of condensation in here, as to be expected. And there'll be even more once I get done talking in here. But yeah, my feet started to get a bit cold because I'm not wearing wool socks. I'm just wearing my boots, which are uninsulated, and then I have a thick pair of synthetic blend sock. They're Garmont Tactical, the company Garmont Tactical socks. Like, they're a thicker pair of their socks. If I had wool socks, I think my feet would be completely fine, but like sitting crisscross applesauce right now with my feet tucked underneath my thighs. Again, I have no long johns on, just the Kila pants. My kneecaps are cold, but that's pretty normal. Just my kneecaps cold, and they're just touching directly against the material right now. But just gigantic difference, like noticeable difference in feel. Like in here, I can kind of go without having any gloves on. Keeping my hands in here, I've been fine. I have took and just been wearing my leather gloves as opposed to putting on the insulated gloves. Hadn't really had to do that. Did not plan on really waking up this early, but now that I am up, I think I'm gonna take and try to use what little bit of fuel's left, if I can get it going, because I don't know if I can get it warm enough to start vaporizing yet. But I've got some peppermint tea, anything that'll hold us over until early in the morning. So if I use that amount of water, I probably won't have enough for coffee, but right now I just want something warm to drink. But I'm not really going to be leaving until daylight, so we'll take and get that done real quick. Definitely had no problem seeing your breath. That's like really this is the first overnighter we've been able to get out to this year where you can see your breath that clearly. But yeah, I'm probably going to have to like heat the bottom of this first with my lighter a bit. Just a wee bit to warm her up. Okay, there we go. That start vaporizing a bit. I don't know if that'll get this to boiling, but it should at the very least get it to, it's like as cold as it is, but should definitely get it warm enough for a cup of tea. So yeah, I mean, I gotta say, I mean, so far I am impressed with this. Like, I don't know if it's going to get any colder. If it got any colder, I'd say that we're probably right at the threshold for what this setup can do. I mean, like this internal microclimate that we got going on. Like right now, I got the armholes wide open. Like once you seal this thing up around your head, and you're sitting and you got the bottom, so like no draft can come in, you do start to build up heat in this thing pretty quickly. And we didn't have any wind tonight, which I mean, like I said, the night before that, it was extremely windy. Didn't really get to test that aspect out too awful much. And there we go. We have got ourselves a bowl. I wish that stove was a little closer. There's still just a wee bit of alcohol left in there, so that's actually not too shabby. There is a little bit of a breeze kicking up now. Just because like, you can probably kind of see it there. Like I really don't even feel it that much, but it was just making the flame dance around a bit. So yeah, we got probably 10 ounces of water in this cup. Throw 2 tea bags in there. God, that tea smells good already. And I know some of you guys are going to be mad at me because ever since I started using these stoves, y'all been telling me to try some different fuels. I've just been using isopropyl alcohol, but I do this winter. I do want to take and try some different fuel types, like the heat. I know is something that's been highly recommended. It's supposed to have like a little bit better burn time and a cleaner burn. But the isopropyl alcohol does work. It is readily available, and I mean it's cheap in comparison to a lot of other fuel options. Once you actually have the stove, and this little titanium stove weighs nothing. I mean, you guys see how efficient this thing is. You know, like having my hands outside of the Jerven bag. And I'm also, I got to say, I'm really impressed with the insulative quality of the Raptor jacket, because in combination with having the smock on and then this, because like my base layer it's retaining zero heat. Like it's a sun shirt. It's literally designed just to wick moisture away and, if anything, to help keep you cooler. The thing that's doing the work is the Raptor jacket and the Jerven bag, pretty much. The smock's just a really good way to help protect the Raptor jacket whenever I'm walking around where all these pine trees have the limbs and stuff broke off of them. A lot of them are like really stiff and sharp, so if like you catch an insulated jacket of any kind on it, it's you know, there's a good chance it could potentially rip. So, and if you're wondering about the temps, and then just having like a closed cell phone pad like this, where it's been hitting like 60 degrees during the day, and then, you know, just maybe dipping down still above freezing. You know, I think it might have got a little bit colder, maybe 37. I don't think we're going to be dropping below 36 at the lowest, like, period. But let's just call it 38 degrees. At 38 degrees, like, this closed cell phone pad, especially with this reflective side on it, is completely fine. Not got any cold spots from the ground back. Like, the convection of the air going behind me. Don't know what the case would be if it was any windier, other than just that initial bit of coldness on my feet, and then my kneecaps. Not really anything to complain about. Whew. Well, that right there is extremely hot, but man, peppermint tea on a cold night / cold morning. I mean, I've only had enough to wet my lips and my tongue there, but having this stuff in it just kind of helps, like, for me anyways, and it might even be a bit of placebo effect, but just any warm drink just kind of helps warm your interior a bit. And then striking that flashlight up with that jute twine, that's also proved to be a really good illuminator. So Yeah, I have to play around with that light a little bit more too, because that's a very unique wing feature on light. Okay, so now it is a bit past 5:15, 5:20, and just hit 36 degrees. And inside of this Jerven bag, no, not feeling the need to wear gloves. Don't even have my hood on around my ears. Wasn't really able to go back to sleep, so I just been chilling, watching something on my phone. And then having a vent open with my head inside just to see. I mean, it's, again, there is a bit of condensation. I don't know how well you can see that. That's with me inside here. I got a vent open, but I am like breathing in here. Just, again, part of the test. But I guess maybe you can start to see that a little bit. It's not running down, but I mean, it is visually noticeable at this point. But yeah, there's not really much left to do. I think I'm just going to wait for it to get light, and then we'll work on getting out of here. Well, final good morning, guys. So I took a look at the thermometer. It looks like we actually touched down to 34 degrees a second ago, or probably a few minutes ago. Looking at the thermometer, it looks like we touched down about 34 degrees. But yeah, a few minutes ago, I got up out of the bag just to see what the body feel was like, and especially where I haven't acclimated to the temperatures yet, where we just have started to get the cold weather. After about like 2 minutes, where I have no long johns on, just the pants themselves. 34, legs start to get cold. Like, it's crazy how much heat that this extremely simple shelter system, which it doesn't seem like much, but by definition this is a shelter system. Really just kind of really impressed with how well it worked these temperatures. Now, we've probably only at 34 degrees for just about an hour based off the tracking that the app does. And that thing right there seems to be pretty dang accurate. But yeah, it was a little bit rough. I consider this an overall win and a very good first test for the Jerven bag. Again, this was sent to me by betterbushcraft.com, so I really appreciate it. Check them out. I will link to all the gear that I use down in the video description. I always try to do that in case you're interested. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. I'm just going to take and keep this on and go around and pack everything up, because this thing right here is one of the last few things that actually go into its own pack bag and then into our bag. But this morning I definitely want to take and leave this thing on, because it makes a huge difference, really, just between having this and then just not having it on. The Raptor jacket done really well, but around this temperature is when this Raptor jacket, if you're not moving, is definitely at its limit. I can say that pretty much for a fact. Again, we do some more overnight stuff with it, but it's like, again, just having the Raptor jacket and the smock at 34 degrees when I was up. I was out for like a total of 5 minutes, I think, before I got back up in underneath this thing, and just started to feel the chill. The morning air at 34. So that's what we expect. I think, hiking out and everything, I'm gonna leave it on, and we should have no issue whatsoever. But this video is probably long enough as it is. So as always, guys, I really appreciate the kind of watch video. Please make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're not already, share the channel videos with your friends, family, anybody that enjoys going outdoor activities and gear. Hit me in that comment section, thoughts, opinions, questions, especially what you thought of the old Jerven bag here. Just really curious. I know this is something that you really don't see in the United States, and there really doesn't seem to be a ton of content. I know Endurance Room has done some cool things with this. So yeah, until the next one, guys, adios.